I'm Ross, and I'm a curious parent.
I'm John, and I'm an education expert.
This is From the Sidelines.
Bite-sized study tips to help you help them through.
Hello, and welcome to From the Sidelines. We're helping you to help them through with study tips, advice, bite-sized chunks of information to help you and young people to achieve the best that they can. We've got John Tate, our resident guru, who's giving us the tips and tricks as we go through this. And I'm Ross, and basically the curious parent wanting to find out more information. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Really interested to talk about this today, and really to try and get this information to whether you're a parent, a carer, a grandparent, anyone that's really championing our young people at home, and how we can, like you said, give some really bite-sized information, really quick, really short, kind of take all the kind of educational and academic language out of it and just make it really simple for things that people can do that, today or the very next day at home, to help them through. So yeah.
And that's what, if you've listened to our podcast and watched John's videos up until this point, hopefully you'll already be appreciating is this isn't for parents who are educators. This is for every single parent. And it's about helping you in terms of practical advice and tips that you can do now with your young people. Right, John, we've had some interesting topics so far, but today I'm seeing that we're talking about tomatoes. Is that right?
You are right, Ross. We are going to be talking about tomatoes, but with a little bit of a spin on this.
Right.
Okay, so let me take you in a bit of an Italian lesson. We're going to be talking about something called the Pomodoro technique.
Okay.
And Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato. And the link here, because you still might be thinking, why are you telling me this? The link here is that many people might remember or might have seen or might have had either in their kitchens or their parents' kitchens a tomato-shaped kitchen timer that normally times, how long you think have something on the oven for, that kind of stuff. And they were very kind of popular traditionally before ovens had digital timers and that kind of stuff. So it's the Pomodoro technique, because we're going to be talking about the optimum amount of time that your child should be studying for before they have a break. So that's the link back to tomatoes. So you were right. We are talking about tomatoes.
I'm glad you've clarified that, because I was a little bit puzzled as to how that would come into study skills and advice. So we talk about optimal length of time for studying.
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay. What we would always say is 25 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So 25 minutes of kind of intense focus, concentration, and real high end study, followed by a 5-minute break. Okay, so there's always a 5-minute break coming, so that you can really make sure that you work really hard, you really concentrate, no distractions, knowing that there's almost a reward, I suppose, coming in terms of 5 minutes. So that's really easy for parents to know. No jargon there. 25 minutes, 5-minute break. If you get that right, it starts to make a big difference.
We've been told, and I've heard it plenty of times, you have to put in the hours.
Yeah, correct.
Of preparation before you take an exam or going through a particular period of time in school or college, and that basically we need to study for long lengths of time.
Yeah.
So are you saying that that's not correct? Then we don't need to study for long lengths of time. We study for 25 minutes.
You're kind of half right there, I suppose,
Okay.
and it can be quite kind of off-putting to hear exactly what you said. We need to put the hours in. It suggests hours at a time. What I'm saying is that over a period of time, you might put the hours in and put that time in, but always in short, sharp bursts. So always stick to 25 minutes, have a 5-minute break. And if you then need to do an hour or 2 hours, that's fine, because a 25-minute Pomodoro with a 5-minute break, let's do the maths, adds up to 30 minutes, half an hour, perfectly fits into 2 Pomodoros per hour.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you want to do 4 Pomodoros in the evening and do 2 hours, that's great, but you shouldn't do 2 hours in one go, because we know that the longer we keep going, a bit like, I suppose, if we were going to go outside and have a race or do some sprinting, we would start off pretty quickly with that high intense activity, and very, very quickly we would start to get fatigued.
Yeah.
We would start to be really tired, and then we would start to either our technique or our kind of effort would wane away pretty quickly. The same happens when our children study. So let's make sure it's short and sweet, 25 minutes. They get a reward of a 5-minute break in which they can potentially get up, go to the toilet, You can maybe even give them their phone back if you've taken it, if you've just taken it away from them so they don't have any distractions. They can check their notifications, they can do whatever they want in that 5 minutes, and then they can come back and refocus for the next 25 minutes. That's far better than trying to study for a whole hour at one point in time. So yeah, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, it's way better. So we need to get out of this habit of thinking that I've done 2 hours tonight, solid 3 hours. Well, actually, like it's no good. It might sound good to tell people, but we know that last, hour, 2 hours has been nowhere near as efficient or effective than the first 25 minutes. So it's kind of pointless.
And I'm guessing there's part of that which is about the fatigue, like you're saying,
Yeah.
but also helping with the mindset of, 25 minutes is quite a short period of time, realistically. So for a young person using that as a study piece, I can imagine you kind of feel like, right, well, I'll get this done because I've got 25 minutes and it's not going on for hours. And then, I will have a break. And it's almost that kind of sort of finite time, isn't it? Aspect to it.
And I think that it does. It helps that you, a bit like when there's a finish line in place as well. Think about it again, going back to the running example.
Yeah.
In a race, if somebody just said, all right, we're stopping now, people would go, well, I didn't know. If I knew it was coming towards the end, I'd have worked really hard.
Yeah.
So having that finish line, that 25-minute period, allows us to really, really work hard up until that point, knowing that at that point we are going to stop and we are going to kind of get up and have a rest. Whereas if it's just kind of ongoing and ongoing and ongoing, then we get disinterested pretty quickly. And it can become very, very long and very tedious, and it's not good for anybody. So definitely having those set periods of time. And it also lets you as a parent come up and almost monitor and check after 25 minutes, what have they achieved in that 25 minutes? And as teachers, we do this in the classroom as well. We actually break bigger tasks into smaller chunks so we can do progress checks. So we can actually check, right, we're 10 minutes in now, you should have done question 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Rather than leaving it 50 minutes and then finding out, well, hang on, a lot of these kids haven't done much. At this point, you should have done. So it's very good to be able to go back in after 25 minutes as a parent and look at what they've done and actually, have they achieved what they should have achieved in that 25 minutes, roughly? Again, you might not know that from a content point of view, but if they've not put pen to paper, or if they've written 5 or 6 words, then actually that doesn't equate to 25 minutes work. So you can kind of see that from their output on the paper.
And for those have listened and watched the previous podcast episodes, this again is very much about getting the young person, their mindset ready for an exam situation realistically. And in an exam situation, you have a set amount of time that you have to perform in. You don't have 3 days to do your exam. And so therefore what you're saying here is brilliant that it's implemented in the classroom, but it's really important it's implemented at home, because when you get to an exam, you have that set amount of time and you need to know that you're in that race and you need to perform for that race.
Completely agree. And teachers do this quite a lot. We talk about kind of how many minutes you would get for a certain question. Like if you had 30 questions, 50 questions, 80 questions over a period of time, then you need to spend, if it's a 1 mark question, 1 minute on a question. If it's a 2 or 3 mark question, 2 or 3 minutes on that. So those type of things, again, we can put that in, we can get our children really expert really on time management, because that's another thing why students sometimes don't do very well in exams. They know the content, but they haven't, they spent so long on the first question and that they haven't been able to get through the whole paper. So time management and be able to kind of, what I use the phrase kind of get to the get-go, like, come on, right now, we're going to start now, ready, go. You got 25 minutes. I want to see how much you've done in that 25 minutes. And really looking at kind of how they can perform under that, as you said, that the pressure of a timed environment, which is what they're going to kind of perform in an exam. And also, it doesn't have to always be in the same subject. We can actually have Pomodoros where you might do maths for the first 25 minutes. For the second half an hour, in terms of that next 25 minutes that lead you up to the hour, you might do English. Or equally, if somebody says, well, but I need to do more than 25 minutes, I need to do loads on this night, well, that's fine. You can do maths all night, but let's just spread it into 25-minute blocks. So we always get that break period and almost a reset and a refresh of the mind, the body, everything, so we can hit the ground running again at the start of the next 25 minutes. So I think that's really important to think about when we're scheduling different subjects throughout the night, that it can be the same subject split into 25 minutes, or you can alternate the subjects, which again makes it really fresh and really different.
So for grandparents, parents, carers looking to help, is it a case of essentially making sure that their son or daughter doesn't study for too long in one go?
Yeah, that's it. Because again, just because you are studying for long periods of time doesn't mean to say you'll be any more effective. You are generally less effective the longer that you study for before you have a break. So if parents can have that in mind, and parents and carers can actually use that and ensure that they're only studying for short periods of time. But also, linking back to a previous video and a podcast we've done, before they start that 25 minutes, making sure that everything that they need is available on the desk and within arm's reach.
Yeah.
Because we need to make sure that, like we've said, that when you like almost, fire the starting gun at the start of that 25 minutes, start the watch, whatever you're going to do, you need to make sure that they are starting. Not that they're going to waste the next 5 or 10 minutes looking in bags, finding things, plugging laptops in. Oh, I needed the toilet, I'm coming for a drink. We're 10 minutes in now, nothing's happened. So your job as a parent can really be to make sure that that's there and it's within arm's reach as well.
Sounds simple, doesn't it?
It is really, really simple. This is probably one of the most simple ones, because actually you can really feel that you're helping as well, because actually you're the one that's timing, you're the one that's saying start, you're the one that's going in and saying 25 minutes is up now. You're really controlling that environment. And then you can also then link all that in with when you go back in, ask them what they've done, check on the progress, how they've done, find out, have they got the equipment they need to start with, ask them what tasks they're doing. You can really become involved. And I think parents can become a lot more involved in what their child is doing by owning and kind of monitoring this situation like this. And also by telling your child that actually 25 minutes is the best period of time. We don't want you to study for too long. And that's going to be music to every child's ears ever, isn't it? Like, we don't want you to study for more than 25 minutes at a time. Happy days. I'm sure if my parents had said that to me, I'd have been over the moon.
It is, yeah. And just to finish off with, I think there's a couple of bits there, isn't there? The number one is, bear in mind we're saying there is a set amount of time to study. It is really important that therefore that does happen early on, and it's not left until the last minute prior to an exam where you give them 25 minutes to prepare for the next day's exam. That's not what we're looking at here. This is why it's important to look at this at an early stage and get all of these little golden nuggets that we're saying planned and in place. Because realistically what you're saying is, I bet a lot of listeners probably wouldn't have thought this, that one of the podcasts around study skills is what we're saying is actually don't let them study for too long, really. Yeah.
And just backing up what you said there, it's all about habits. Yeah. It's all about building really high quality, sound study habits early on, whether that's early as in the younger they are or earlier as in earlier the year in that year before the kind of exam at the end of the year. So like you said, it's not the night before, it's not suddenly kind of on the morning and over breakfast and when everything's really stressed. It's that little and often approach that actually kind of does this. And a little bit like I'm sure as a parent you've read it, the tortoise and the hare. Think about who wins the race. It's that kind of slow and often, kind of little and often, kind of slow and steady pace. That is ultimately what's going to kind of make the biggest difference, because we're building those habits all the way through the year, so that there's not suddenly a big stress factor on the body the night before or the week before an exam where we have to totally change all of our routines. We're doing this all the way through, so it's no different to us. So that is ultimately the secret.
Love it.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, John. As always, like I say, brilliant little pieces of advice that we can see how practically they can be implemented and have a massive impact on our young people. So thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed this one. Short, sweet, to the point, pretty much like Pomodoro and how it should run.
Yeah, we should have timed it to be a 25-minute.
Hopefully we haven't gone above that. Otherwise, we're in trouble, aren't we? We're not doing as we say. We'd love to see you again for our next podcast and our next little film series. But yes, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.